All right, boys and girls. It is my honor and my privilege to welcome our very special guest this afternoon, the Governor of the State of New Jersey. Boys and girls, let's give a nice round Oak Street School welcome to Governor Christie.
Thank you all the rest of you for being here and letting me come and visit. I knew the school year is getting ready to come to an end. I wanted to come and visit and see all of you before you all head home for the summer. And enjoy your summer, I'm sure. Now, I'm sure you guys don't know this right off the top of your head. When's school ending for you?
25th.
You know that day, right? You know that as well as your birthday, right? You know that day. Well, I'm glad you're all here. And I'm not here to give you some big speech. Okay, I'm here to answer questions from all of you. So let's answer some questions for a little while and see what you all have on your minds. So we've got some questions for you. Yes, young lady. Here you go. I'll give you my microphone. It's right here. You can stand. Hand me my back.
Are you considering running for president?
So, start off with easy ones first. Well, listen, not at the moment, no. Here's the way I feel about that. I'm running for re-election right now, and I want to be governor. I want to stay governor. I like being governor. I want to stay governor. And you know, the other election for president is a long way off. It's 3 years away. And I think anything you try to do in your life that you're trying to plan for 3 years from now, really specifically, I don't think it's going to happen tonight between now and then. So we'll see what happens. For me, the thing that I want to do the most is continue to be governor and continue to try to do the job as well as I can for everybody here and make the state a better place for all of you. So if anything else happens in my future, I'm going to have a job because I got 4 kids, 19, 17, 12, and 9. And so I'm going to be working for a while anyway, either at this or at something else. So, but thank you for asking. I appreciate it. We'll see what happens in a few years, and we'll all find out together, I suspect. Other questions? Let's go back to these guys. Yes. How did I become the governor? How did I become the governor is the question. Well, there's lots of people who are asking that question. How did you become the governor? Well, first of all, you have to run for it. Nobody comes to your front door, knocks on it, drags you out of the house and says, hey, how would you like to be governor? So first you have to run for it. So I decided back in 2009 that I would run for governor. And then you have to travel all across the state and meet as many people as you can and let them get to know you. And then by November of 2009, there's an election. There was an election in November of 2009. And I got more votes than the other guy. And, you know, the real way you get to become governor is if you care about your state a lot and you really want to try to help, and you work very, very hard, you have a chance. And all you're going to ask for is a chance. And I got a chance to win, and I did win, and now I get a chance to do the job. It's a really, really great job. So I would suggest it to you. I think if you're interested, definitely a good job. Absolutely. Who else has questions? Let's go further back. This young lady right here. Do we have mics moving around too? Yeah. Hold on. Here we go. There we go. It should be. Just try it again. It'll be okay. Come on, guys.
If you were to make a lot of changes, you have made a lot of changes. Are you going to change anything else in New Jersey?
Am I going to change anything else in New Jersey? I hope so. I hope so. I think that's part of your job as governor is to try to see the things that you think are problems, or not just problems, but things that are opportunities, right? Sometimes you need to change things to make things better, not because they're wrong, but because we're not doing something we should be doing. And so there's lots of things I'd like to change. As we've done some already, as you said in your question, and we've got more things to do. I'd like to get more businesses in the state so that they could hire more people could be at work that are at work right now. I'd like to have that happen. I'd like to see every school have the opportunity to get better, because you guys are the future for us. And the better you learn, the smarter you are, the better it is for our state and for your families. There's lots of things I'd like to change. And that's the great thing about government. great thing about being governor is you get a chance to change those things. And I've had a lot of fun trying to do that in the last 3.5 years that I can do it for longer. Is that other questions? Yes, this young man right back there next to the lady in the green shirt. They're coming right over there with the microphone.
How many years can you be a governor?
How long can you be?
How many years?
Oh, how many years? 8 years. You can be governor for 8 consecutive years is the exact answer. So you can't do it for more than 8 years in a row. I've done it for 3.5 so far. If I get re-elected in November, I can do it for another 4. But then I couldn't do it again right after that. If I wanted to be governor again, I'd have to wait 4 years and then run again. And most people don't do that. So usually, the most time you spend as governor is 8 years. 8 years is the maximum of our Constitution. Yes, sir, right here. I'll take care of it. I'll close it out. There you go.
How many people do you work with?
How many people do I work with? Well, that's a good question. The state government right now has about 60,000 people in it. So indirectly, I work with 60,000 people. Now, if you're asking, like, how many people do I really work with every day that I see, it's usually about 20 or so people that I see every day. Those are the people on my senior staff. There's about 12 of those. And then usually about 7 or 8 other folks who are assistants and help me in other ways. So every day who I see, about 20 people. Who I work with and try to do what we're doing, about 60,000 people. So it's a pretty big job. Pretty big job.
What's the most challenging thing about being governor of New Jersey?
The most challenging thing in my time from being governor of New Jersey was Hurricane Sandy. When that hit and caused all the damage that it caused in our state and caused so many people to lose their homes or lose their belongings or lose their business and to suffer, that's really hard. It's hard when you're governor to try to help all those folks, help them get their lives back together, and to be there for them when they're feeling bad. Because when you lose all those things, you definitely feel bad and it's sad. But my job as governor is to try to help convince them that everything's going to be okay. And that we'll work together to make things better for those folks. And I think we've done some of that. And some of you may know people who had a lot of problems with Hurricane Sandy. You know exactly what I mean. So that was probably the most challenging thing about being governor the last 2.5 years was dealing with the hurricane. That's a good question. All right, let's go to the back. That young lady right there. Yeah. We'll come right around here for you.
When there is a money crisis with the school district, how do you cope with them asking for money? What can we do to alleviate the money crisis?
Well, a few things. First of all, like, how do you deal with it when it happens? And that there was a money crisis in the schools, at least somewhat of one when I first got here, because there was a money crisis in the whole state. Because as you probably remember, the economy was really bad, and a lot of people were out of work, and when people aren't working, taxes go down. You don't receive as much money, and then you have to make choices. So what you do is you try to be fair, and you try to have everybody affected the same way. Like, if we all have to make sacrifice, we should all do it together and do it fairly and share it. But now, as things are getting better, there really isn't a money crisis in the schools right now. I mean, we're putting more money, the state is putting more money into our public schools, schools like this one, $9 billion than we've ever put in the history of the state. So we're spending more money today at the state level on public schools, schools just like yours, than we've ever spent in the history of the state. So we did have a problem 3 years ago. And today, though, the economy's gotten better, tax revenue's gone up, and we've been able to increase the money we put into schools. And I've increased the money after that first year. The next 3 years, I've increased the money every year to schools. Because, we need to make sure that you guys have the things that you need to try to learn. And then what we need, too, is your teachers to be ready to go and doing a good job for you. And the last and most important part is we need you to be working really hard. Try to make sure you do as well in school as you can. And so that's the way you deal with it. When times are tough, you try to share it amongst everybody. And when times get better, you try to increase the money so that folks can make sure in the schools that there are no crises in money. So that's the way you deal with it. Yes, young lady right there. You got that.
There is no homeless shelter in Washington. Is there going to be one in the future?
Yeah, I think there needs to be. And I think that Atlantic City has been taking up too much of the brunt of having to shelter the folks who are down their luck for a period of time and homeless. And Atlantic City has been taking a lot of those folks. And what we're trying to do is to spread that out more evenly across the state, but also try to keep people relatively close to where they're from. So I think you'll probably have to see something like those things happening, not just in Ocean County, but all over the state, to make sure that folks get to stay close to where they're from. And while we're trying to help them get a home again, that they have someplace warm and safe to live, where they can be fed too. Because lots of people just, during a difficult economy, they get down on their luck. And we need to try to help those folks when we do. So we're trying to spread it even around the city. All right, this young gentleman right here. She's coming around too.
Have you ever been in a tough situation as a governor?
Yeah, plenty. Yeah, when you're governor of New Jersey, you get lots of tough situations. And I mean, I mentioned the hurricane before. It was probably the toughest situation I had to deal with, but also the money crisis the young lady asked me about there when I first got into office in 2010 was really hard. And when you're in those situations, I think the thing that you have to remember the most is who you work for. And I work for all of you and your families. And you have to try to keep that in mind every day of who you work for. And if you do that, then you're probably going to get yourself pretty close to the right decision. The other thing you have to remember too is there isn't always just one right decision. So you have to think, you have to listen to other people, taking all their opinions, and then when you're the governor, you're the person elected to decide, and then you decide. You make the best decision you can, and you move on to the next challenge, problem, crisis that you have. You're always going to have one at some point. So you need to deal with those problems. And yeah, sure, I've had plenty of those to talk about. And it's, sometimes it's a little scary, but that's what you get paid for. You got to step up and do the right thing and figure out what that is and then go ahead and do it. So you're right. You got to do read of the job to have plenty of those moments. Let's get to this gentleman right up here. He's got a tie on, I believe.
How did the hurricane affect you?
How did the hurricane affect me? Well, I have two different houses. One that's mine and one that the state owns. So I live in a house up in North Jersey in a town called Mendham. And we had left that house to come down to the governor's residence in Princeton. The house in Mendham, we lost 20 trees, all fell down, blocked our driveway. We couldn't get our cars up our driveway. We had 3 huge trees laying across the driveway. We had to get cut up and moved out of the way. We lost our power for 2 weeks. We didn't have any power for 2 weeks. But luckily for us, that's the worst that happened. So we couldn't get to our house, and then our house didn't have power. And our house in Princeton didn't have power either. The governor's house didn't have power either. But lucky for us, our houses weren't destroyed. We didn't lose any of our belongings, and nobody was hurt. And so we were pretty lucky in the hurricane. But that's the way it affected us. It affected lots of other people, as you know, a lot worse than it affected me. So me and my family, we were pretty lucky. How did it affect you? You got power? Trees, yeah. Same thing as me, huh? Yeah, it stinks when you're on power, right? It does. It's dark. Especially that time of year, so it's not good. And it gets cold. It's starting to get cold that time of year, too, with a late hurricane. Yes, young lady, right here.
How do you plan on increasing safety in public schools?
How do I plan on increasing safety in public schools? Well, listen, first is that everybody in school, including you, have to be trained on how to deal with dangerous situations. So we need to have drills on a regular basis with your principals and your vice principals and your other administrators and your teachers and you. So whether, there's all different kinds of danger that can happen, right? There can be fires or other problems that can happen in the school. We have to be ready to drill, be prepared on all that stuff. So the first way to stay safe is to be prepared. Secondly, we want to make sure that we secure the doors in the school to make sure that the only people who get in here are people who are supposed to be in here. You and your teachers and your administrators, and then the parents come to visit. Make sure that everybody knows that someone's in the school who's not supposed to be here all the time, and keep those folks who aren't supposed to be here not in here. And I think that's the best way to keep schools safe. I don't think we should have police officers in every school. I don't think we need to do that. I don't think we should. I don't want you having to worry all that much about this stuff. Our schools are pretty safe. And if you do the drills and you listen to your teachers and you listen to the principal, you're going to be just fine. The biggest thing you have to worry about, I hope, most of the time is what you're learning and how you're going to do on your tests and how you're going to do from year to year. But to make sure that we do that, we have to make sure that we have ourselves prepared to deal with any kind of crisis and we keep the building secure. So only the people who get in here are the people who belong here. Back here. Yes, stand up with the badge on. You, yes, good lady. Right. There you go.
How much money would New Jersey use to restore the building from Hurricane Sandy?
We're still using money to restore damages from Hurricane Sandy. In the end, between what we spend at the state level, what we spend at the local level, and what we spend from the government of Washington, D.C. at the federal level, it'll probably be somewhere around $30 billion. So a lot of money. A lot of money to fix our state. But remember, a lot of damage got done, so it costs a lot of money to get that fixed. So probably, it's a guess, because we're still doing it, but my guess is it'll probably be somewhere around $30 billion. Yes, sir, on the aisle over there.
How is school different now?
Oh, could you speak into the microphone a little closer? Because I can't hear you.
How is school now different from the school you went to?
How is school different now than it was then? How many of you have classes on computers? Where you learn and work with computers? You work with computers? No, not at all. Are you sure? Huh? Guinea pigs, right? Anything that didn't involve chalk and a blackboard, I didn't have. All the different kind of automation that you have now, the different machines that you have now. When I went to school, which was a long time ago, unfortunately, I'm 50 years old, so it was a long time ago. We didn't have most of that stuff. Most of our stuff was just like teachers writing on blackboards and us working in workflows. And so school's different that way. School's also different now because I think you have a lot more choices in terms of what you learn than you had when I was your age. We're learning that kids need to learn a lot more different things than we learned when I was young. So you have a lot more choices now than you did before. And those are probably the two biggest ways that school is different now than it was before. I don't think that a lot of the stuff has changed. There's a teacher in front of the classroom, and you're sitting in your desk, hopefully quiet, listening to your teacher, and you're taking notes about things that your teacher's saying, and then you're getting quizzes and tests, doing book reports, and other things to help the teacher to know whether you're really learning what they're teaching. And that has kind of stayed the same from when I was a kid your age to now. But there are some things that are different. This guy right up here. I'll give you my microphone.
How did you collect all the money to restore the damage of Hurricane Sandy?
How did I collect all the money to restore the damage of Hurricane Sandy? Well, some of it is from taxes that we collect at the state level. Some of it's from taxes that we collect at the local level. And some of it I had to fight with the people in Washington, D.C. to get the money. So we did all of those things. We fought and argued with people in Washington to get money from them, and then at the state and local level, people pay taxes, and we use some of their tax money to repair what's going on in Sandy. The other part of it, too, is that a lot of people have donated money to charities that have helped people. And over $100 million of money has been donated as well by people around the country and around the world to us to try to help us. So it came from all those different places. That's where the money came from. So, right there. No.
Why did you want to become governor?
Why did I want to become governor? Well, before I was governor, I was the federal prosecutor in New Jersey, which meant that I was the lawyer who sent the bad people to jail, people who were breaking the law. And I got to watch that for 7 years, and I saw all the things that I thought were wrong with our government. Well, maybe if I went there, I could fix it. That's really why I decided to do it. Watch things go bad for 7 years and thought to myself, I can do better than that. And so I decided to try. And not a little more complicated than that. That's the way I made the decision. And luckily people gave me a chance to do it, like I said before. Let's go back here to the people behind me. Yes.
How does it feel being governor?
How does it feel being governor? Great. It feels great. It's great to be governor. I was born here in New Jersey. And I went to school here in New Jersey, and I've lived here my whole life. And so to now be the chance to be the governor of the state where you were born and went to school, and now raising my children here, it's a pretty great job. So it feels great to be governor. And people are very nice to me. Whenever they see me, people come up and say hello. And it's a very nice, it's a good job. And every day when I go to work, I have a chance to do something really great. I don't always do something great every day, because, I'm human. It's not like we don't do something great every day, but we try. And I get a chance to try to do that every day as governor, so it's a pretty good job. Let's see. How about you, sir, right there? Nope, the guy behind you. You got it. That's you.
What do you do outside of your job? What are you doing to?
Like, what do I do for fun? Is that a question? All right. Here's what I do. Well, first off, I work a lot. So I have less time for fun than I used to. But when I have time for fun, I like to do a few things. One, I like to go to my kids' games. I have 4 kids. I have a son in college who plays college baseball. And so this year I got to go to his games at his college. I have a daughter who plays softball, so I go to her games. I have a son who plays hockey. He's 12. So I go and watch his hockey games. And then I have a daughter who's 9 who plays basketball. And I watch her. So I like to go to my kids' games, and that takes up a lot of my time on the weekends and some of the evenings. I used to like to read a lot more than I do now, but my job, I do so much reading for my job that it's like by the time I'm done with the reading for work, I don't read as much as I used to. I really would like to read more for fun, but I don't do it as much anymore because I just don't have the time. I like to go to the beach. I like to come down to the shore. We were down here last weekend for Father's Day. That was fun. And, I like to every once in a while go out to dinner with my wife. That's fun. And we don't have a lot of time when we get to be just the 2 of us anymore. So whenever we can steal some time to just go out alone by the 2 of us, it's almost like we're getting to know each other again. So it's kind of fun. So that's good. Yes, young lady. Yeah. I'm coming down the middle.
Hard to be governor and be a dad at the same time. What's the hardest thing?
It is hard to be governor and be a dad at the same time. And the hardest thing about that is time. Because in this job, there's always something else you could be doing. Like, for instance, I will tell you, this morning, here's my day so far today. I exercised this morning. Then, after I got done with that, I had to go to Wildwood. So I went down to Lakewood to speak to a group of veterans who served in the military. Then I left Lakewood and I came up here to Lakewood, and that was a while to get here. And then when I got here, I stopped at a diner here in Lakewood. Got something to eat for lunch. And it's apparently next, what was the name of that diner again? What was that? Cross Mill Diner. So there's a school next door to the Cross Mill Diner. I didn't know that. So people at the school heard that I was there, and they started coming next door to the diner and saying, why don't you come to our school? Come visit us. We want to meet you. And I said, well, I'm going over to Oak Street School, so I can't come to your school. And I went, oh, please come to our school. Point is, there's always something people want you to do. And that's good. And that's fun, and it's part of the job. But, you know, that means there's less time for you to spend at home with the kids. And so I think the hardest part of being a governor, being a dad at the same time, is trying to divide your time so that you do your job the right way as governor, and you do your job as dad the right way. And I'm still working on it. Some weeks I get it good, and some weeks not so good. But my kids are really good about it. And they don't complain to me too much about it. Every once in a while. Or they don't complain to me too much about it. And they understand I've got a tough job. But what they sometimes forget is how much I like spending time with them. So I want to try to spend more time with them if I can. Although right now, when I'm being governor and running for re-election, it's hard this year. This year is a really hard year. So you asked the question right here. It's really hard this year to be a good dad and be a good governor too. So I'm trying to figure it out. It's hard. In the back, she's jumping out of her seat. We've got to help her out.
With no disrespect to Whitney Houston, but why was the flag flown at half-mast when many New Jersey veterans die every day and aren't given that honor, plus they did a lot for this country?
Well, every military person who is killed in action, we lower the flag at half-staff for them. So every active military person in New Jersey, whether they're active Army or Navy or Air Force or Marines or Coast Guard, or whether they're in the New Jersey National Guard, either the Army National Guard or the Air National Guard, if they're killed in action, I lower the flag for every one of them. And so we do that. Because I agree with you, they've given the ultimate sacrifice for our country and for our state, and they deserve that respect. Now, as far as Whitney Houston goes, we also lower the flag for other people. We lower the flag for famous, important New Jerseyans who contribute a lot to our state in one way or the other, who have died. So we lowered the flag for Whitney Houston because she was born in New Jersey and she was raised in New Jersey and she lived most of her life in New Jersey. And she contributed greatly, I thought, to our culture. We can't just worry about one particular way that you contribute to making our state better, because there's lots of different ways that you contribute to it. And I think that Whitney Houston, through what she did and her talent and the way she used her talent, helped to contribute to make our state a better place. And so we wanted to honor her when she died by lowering the flag to half-staff. And some people disagree with that, and I understand that. But I'm the governor, so I get to decide. Okay? And I think that there's lots of different ways to contribute to the life of our state. And for famous and important New Jerseyans who have given a lot to our state in one way or the other, you know, I think we should do that. I also lowered the flag at half-staff for Clarence Clemens, the saxophone player for Bruce Springsteen, when he died. I told my daughter that she couldn't have a Facebook page until she was 17. Yeah, nobody wants to live with me now, right? It's like, yeah, we're not living with the governor, 17. And I have a great story about that. When she was 16, we were at a conference in Idaho. And you know who else was at this conference? Mark Zuckerberg, who founded Facebook. And my daughter saw him and she said, this is great. I'm going to ask Mark Zuckerberg to tell my dad to let me have a Facebook page. So she went to Mark Zuckerberg and she said, Mr. Zuckerberg, I'm Sarah Christie. I'm Governor Christie's daughter, and I'm 16 years old, and he won't let me have a Facebook page. Don't you think that's wrong? And he said, well, you know, the rule of Facebook normally is if you're 14, that you can have your own Facebook page. But because your dad's governor, and lots of people know who he is, and lots of people know who you are, I think your dad's right. I don't think you should have a Facebook page. And I was standing there, and she turned and looked at me and she said, thrown under the bus by Mark Zuckerberg. So I think social media is great. I think I use it all the time. I think kids If you have these social media pages, if you have a Facebook page or Twitter, or you go on YouTube, be careful. Be careful, because everything you write on the internet is in ink. It stays forever. It stays forever. You can't erase it. It stays forever. So be careful about the things you say, because sometimes people use these things and they hurt other people's feelings. And we shouldn't do that. So I want you to have fun this summer. I want to thank you for coming and letting me come and visit your school. I want to thank you for all the questions, because you wrote them out. You obviously took time to think about them. I really appreciate that. And I hope that my answers were almost as good as your questions, because your questions were really good. So have a great summer. I love Lakewood. It's a great place to come. I'll be back again. I'll come back again this fall, visit another school in Lakewood. I think it's probably going to be that school. That's the diner that I ate at, because they don't want me to come now. So I think I might have to go visit there. But you all have a great summer. Thanks for letting me come. Thanks for you.